Good morning, you guys. So I get asked a lot how I would deal with or how I handle unhappy clients. And I would say I'm going to come from two different perspectives. One, because I really don't get many now. I feel like I've created enough of a space with my clients where they know that if something goes wrong, or if they're just unhappy with something, or if maybe the service wasn't exactly what they expected, that they can come to me. And then I will also say that I had to learn how to deal with someone that was not, pleased with their service or what have you. This is one of those things that for myself was learned through growth and experience, as I've been doing hair for a very long time. So I'm bringing it to you guys in the hopes of helping someone else, and that way you guys don't have to go through what I went through to learn, right? So let me preface by saying this, that there are people that just, no matter what you do, nothing is ever good enough for them. No matter what you do, they just won't be pleased, right? There are also some people that they just need someone to emotionally dump on, and you just happen to be that person. These are people that I am not speaking on, right? Because you have to learn how to discern and identify the difference. So we'll start with those. So for a client that cannot be pleased, what I will do is, if I run into someone like that and I've offered to rectify the situation, or I've offered, I've even asked for their input and what they would like to be done, and they don't want it, that's just a client where we just have to amicably, agree to just not do business with each other anymore. And that's fine. There's people like that. There's also clients that they literally are just difficult. Some clients don't even realize how difficult they are. And for those people, I have a theory that once they go to enough people, they'll kind of realize that it's them and it's not us. And like I said as well, like those clients that try to make you their emotional dumping ground, those are just clients that I just do not deal with. So I've been asked before, like, how I deal with a difficult client, and honestly, I don't. And I say that because if a client comes to an appointment and I can just feel from their energy that they're just not going to be a pleasant experience, I will still continue to service, because some people, it's just easier to just get them out and never have to deal with them again than to try to be like, oh, your energy's bad, you gotta go. It's just a host of problems you don't want. And I live in and from LA, and there are a lot of people that try to get their way through intimidation. So, in order to just nip all of that in the bud, sometimes for me, the way that I personally deal with it is I'm going to give you the best experience that I can give you, and then I just block you and you just can't come back. And that's just kind of how I deal with that. However, if you are dealing with a client that has come to you and has said, hey, I really love my hair, but I'm having a hard time, let's say, blending my leave out, right? There's so many ways that can be fixed. Now, what I particularly like to do is, I am not a hairstylist and I used to be, but I'm not anymore. In my maturity, I'm not a hairstylist that will blame the client. Because for myself, I always like to look at where I played the part. So if, let's say, for instance, of course, I'm going to be able to blend your leave out better than you can. Especially if weaves are not your thing, or you're just not, some clients I have, they come and get their hair done and they can manage their hair. They just don't like to do it. Then you also have clients where they know nothing about their hair outside of what you teach them. And so for me, every client that is in my chair, I treat them as though they don't know. Because that way I never assume and then miss the opportunity to educate or inform them about their service. Even with something as small as, I always tell my clients, okay, like with a swoop ponytail, right? If you tie your scarf and tie the knot on the swoop, you're going to have a dent in your swoop the next morning. It's a very small and honest mistake. We've all done it. I've done it to myself with my own hair. That's something where, to avoid having to have the client come back and say, oh, my swoop got a dent in it, can you fix it? Because you can't fix it unless you just take it down. You just tell the client before they leave, like, hey, before I forget, because I do this with every client, before I forget, when you wrap your hair, make sure the knot is at the back, at the base of the ponytail, not at the top, or else you'll dent your swoop. And there's no way to fix it other than to have it get redone. And they understand. It's a simple fix. And then they can wear, their ponytail for as long as they need to wear it for. So for me, I would say number one, I would start at take the opportunity to educate your client on aftercare so that a lot of the things that may come up could be avoided. And that way, if something does come up and you've already informed them on how to deal with it, they will take the responsibility for that and they won't blame it on you. And even something like the swoops, right? I'll say like, hey, if your swoop, over time does kind of lift, because we have, like, some of us have oily skin or you may sweat. I'll tell them, like, spray a little hairspray, put your scarf on, and it'll push the swoop. It'll help lay the swoop back down. Simple fix. Because there's a lot of clients where once the swoop starts to lift a little bit, then they get to fidgeting with it and the ponytail doesn't last as long as it could. So I'm kind of going off topic. I apologize, but I was trying to tie it all in. So for myself, for instance, I had a lady that had brought her daughter to me for her birthday. And her daughter came and she got a ponytail. And I was so into, like, that particular day, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I had my children with me and I was just overwhelmed. It was just one of those days where I had an off day. I wasn't myself. And I knew that. And so at the end of the day, I remember texting Nick and saying, like, today wasn't really my day. Like, I felt like I wasn't on my game today. And I felt like it showed. And he was like, well, today, tomorrow's a better day. He was very encouraging. But when, like, for me, when you put your all into what you do, when you have an off day, and off days are okay, they happen. But, it's not an excuse for whatever comes after that. So this particular day, I had this young lady, and she was the cutest thing. She was so excited to see me. Her mom had booked her appointment for her birthday. And she got a ponytail. And in me, I was still, talking to her and things like that, but I just wasn't on my A game. I was trying to make sure that the kids were cool. I was still trying to make sure that my environment was professional. Because I had my kids with me, I didn't want my client to be like, oh, this is, I didn't want it to be like this wild situation and my client be like, okay, so this is what she does. This is how she, runs her business or whatever. And so in the midst of all of that, her mom sends me a picture, I want to say maybe about 20 minutes after the appointment, after I sent her back outside, and was like, what is this? This is not supposed to show. And the wrap part of the ponytail, it was a piece of track that was still showing. So the track was tacked down, but I didn't wrap enough to cover that part. Now, there's a million and one things that could have happened. I could have made excuses and said, oh, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. That's not the client's issue. That's not the client's problem. At the end of the day, they pay you for a service and you are supposed to provide said service. Everything else outside of that has nothing to do with them, right? And so I told her, I said, you're absolutely right. I said, I sincerely apologize. I said, but if you're available XYZ day, I can fix this. And she was like, oh yeah, sure. What time? And so I made it a point to have the young lady come about 30 minutes before my first client, because it wasn't anything that was that big of a deal. I literally just had to undo the wrap and rewrap it back. And so, she was like, I once again apologize. I said, I apologize so much, but thank you for allowing me to fix it. And she was like, oh no, it's no problem. Thank you for, being willing to fix it. Boom, problem solved. Now, in the past, I used to be so afraid of clients being upset with me or rejection or being talked about badly that when someone told me something was wrong with their service, I would shut down and I wouldn't know how to answer. So a lot of the times what I would do is I would freeze up and I just wouldn't respond, or it would take me a really long time to respond. And of course, to a client, especially a client that possibly has gone through, undesirable experiences before with a stylist, that would make the client feel like, oh, she don't give a shit, or she don't want to help me, or she don't give a fuck about me, she already got my money. When that wasn't the case. A lot of the time it would be that I felt so bad I didn't know how to deal with the situation. And I realized that that's not how you go about things. There's going to be times where you are willing to help a client. Let me give you another example. I had a young lady come to me and she got a weave done. And when she left the appointment, she was happy about her weave. She was pleased with it. I believe her mom came first. Her mother came first, and then she came after her mom's appointment. and she got a weave done. We did some colors. She got her weave done or whatever. I did a video on it and everything. Video, like everybody loved her hair. She loved her hair. And then the following morning, she texted me and was like, my leave out won't blend. Now, usually when that happens, it's either that the client is not used to like a weave. And a lot of the time this comes from like the clients that don't wear weaves a lot. So usually I'll ask, well, what do you mean by that? Do you mean that your leave out sweated out? Do you mean that you don't know how to cover the tracks? What do you mean by that? Because for me, the way that I do my installs, I try to leave out as little hair as possible. But sometimes as a stylist, you have to remember that just because you are able to make that blend, they can't see the top of their head. So when it's their turn to blend it and brush it into place, it may not lay the same way that you made it lay. And so with clients, some clients like that, you may have to leave a little extra hair out just, I don't know exactly how to say it, but just to make sure that they can blend it. Because at the end of the day, what you can do and what they can do are two different things. And so I asked her, I was just like, well, what do you mean? Like, what's wrong? Are you saying that maybe because your hair is not trained? And she was just like, oh no, I could tell where my hair stops and the red hair starts. And she kind of started to go off on a tangent. And so she was like, now I have to go and buy extra hair and do this and this. And I was like, no, you don't. I said, let me know when you have time to come and get it fixed. And I have extra black hair. I can add some black hair to make it, to make it blend easier. To this day, she's never responded back. And that's okay. Maybe for her, she felt like I shouldn't have to go back. But as a service provider, I offered a solution. So sometimes, like I said, some people just don't want to be helped. And for me, from a compassionate place, it may have just been that she just felt like I shouldn't have had to even come back and tell you that. Maybe that's how she looked at it. And it's okay. So I would say that, in a nutshell, to wrap this up, the best way to deal with a disgruntled or unhappy client is to just be compassionate about their situation. Even if in the back of your mind, you're like, this is fucking stupid. They're throwing a fit over nothing. It doesn't matter. I used to really hate that term, the customer is always right, but I feel like it's in how you look at it. At the end of the day, these people are coming to you for a service. They're coming to you to feel good or better about themselves, right? These people come to you for major life events. They come to you for shit that, they come to you for funerals. They come to you for baby showers. They come to you for graduations. They come to you for weddings. They come to you just because, maybe they come see you once a month. Whatever it is, we have to have some compassion for our clients. There's nothing worse than looking forward to your appointment and you get to your appointment and it's not what you expected it to be. Or you're disappointed. Or the appointment is lackluster, right? And I hear a lot of hairstylists always say, oh, well, these clients forget that we're people. Well, you have to remember that they're people too. And this is coming from myself. And I'm going to do another video on that and how me changing my mindset changed my client experience and changed just the whole energy around my business, period. But yeah, so that pretty much is my little 2 cents for today when it comes to that. Just be compassionate. Like I look at it a lot and go, if the shoe was on the other foot, how would I have wanted to be dealt with? And a lot of the times just fixing the problem, rectifying the issue or whatever, that gets you a lot further than, just getting frustrated and shutting down or getting annoyed with the client, and sometimes they just don't know how to talk to us. So just don't take it personal, just try to figure out and understand where they are with you. I have so many of these stories. I'll probably just start doing like a whole story time series about just this, client experiences and how I've learned from them. I have not one client where I'm just like, oh, she was a bitch and she was terrible and I didn't learn shit and fuck her. No, even in those particular situations, there was something to be learned. And that makes you, not only just a better person, but a better service provider overall. So that was my TED Talk for today. Hope you guys have a beautiful day and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.